Yeah, I just want to say, again, thank you to the media for being here and supporting this bowl game and the college football playoff. It's been a great week for us. Let me just say this, the hospitality from the Fiesta Bowl has just been outstanding. So I just want to thank VRBO for their support of this bowl game. And, we couldn't do it without corporate sponsorship. So just want to thank them personally for what they've meant to this bowl game. It's great to be in Phoenix. It's obviously a destination city. It's a beautiful time of year to be here. Our players have had a great experience. The hotel situation's just been outstanding. I think what makes this bowl game special, though, is, again, the care and support that we receive from the Fiesta Bowl, and the volunteers have just been incredible and have gone above and beyond, taking care of our players and me personally. So I just want to say thank you to the Fiesta Bowl. It's just been outstanding. From our perspective, from a TCU perspective, we're very excited to be here, to have a chance to compete against the winningest college football program in history, the Michigan Wolverines. And our guys are very excited about the challenge, and we've had a great 3 weeks of preparation leading up to this game on Saturday. Our guys are well prepared. I believe that we have had really quality practices. We've been able to accomplish all the goals that we wanted to from a bowl preparation standpoint. It's always a great opportunity, especially first year in your program. We get 15 extra practices for some of our young players, and that has been critical to their development. We've had an opportunity to see some young guys really improve over the last 3 weeks. And our team, I think, is really playing our best football. We had an outstanding practice day before yesterday, which was a Wednesday practice for us. Yesterday was a little bit lighter and shorter of a run-through. Today will be a walkthrough for us, and then another run-through in preparation for the game on Saturday. Our goal is to get our team there as fast and fresh as we possibly can, and at the same time with a very physical mentality. So I think we've hopefully accomplished those goals and look forward to getting to the game on Saturday.
We'll now open it up for questions. If you do have a question, if you could raise your hand. We do have mic runners. We'd like to get a mic to you. And if you could, please introduce yourself by name and outlet. We'll start here on the back row, far right.
Hi, Sam Kahn from The Athletic. Sonny, you just mentioned Michigan's history as the winningest college football program. I'm curious how you view this matchup, given your guys' history. A little bit different. You guys, in the past, left out of the initial Big 12, had to go through multiple conferences to get to this point. I know this all predated you, but I'm curious what your appreciation level is for TCU being on this stage against that program, given their history.
Yeah, Sam, good question. I think the great thing about our situation here is that I think in a lot of ways TCU, now obviously before I was there, really before any of these players were there, it's always been a fight for credibility. You go back and you look at the old days of the Southwest Conference, and TCU was kind of and also ran for a number of years, really there for probably 3 decades. Just had a hard time kind of breaking through, and ended up in a couple of different conferences and had to kind of battle and pull themselves up by the bootstraps and go to work. I think it took a lot of hard work and dedication from a lot of people, from a fan base, from a donor support perspective, a lot of vision from an athletic director standpoint. Chris Delcani, I think, had a vision for what he wanted TCU to look like. I think our athletic director, Jeremiah Donati, has done an incredible job of taking Chris's vision and improving it and taking it to another level. I'm really blessed and fortunate. I believe that, between Chancellor Boschini and Jeremiah, that we have the best support team in college football. I really do believe that. They both have a clear understanding of how important intercollegiate athletics is, and specifically college football, to the university and to the student experience. So we've got great leadership. We've got tremendous support from our alumni and donors, and we have a talent-rich area to recruit to. So it hadn't been easy. It's been a process to get to this point. We think that every time we get on a big stage like this is an opportunity for us to create a bigger brand and create more credibility, which is always important. That's the thing that you have to have and you have to establish is credibility. And when you're playing against, as I said earlier, the winningest program in college football history, then that gives you credibility if you go out and beat them. And that's certainly important to our program as we move forward and continue to take the next steps. We want to be a team that, hopefully in the future isn't picked 7th in our conference. That's the goal, is to have, preseason respect. We know that's earned, certainly not given. We don't want it to be given. But it all begins there where, we go out, we play well, and people respect us, and we do it consistently, and the program continues to become more and more relevant. And that's our goal is, we hope to someday look up and somebody says, hey, look, in the last decade, TCU is the winningest program in college football or in the top 5. And that's kind of the goal for us moving forward. And we think it's certainly something that we can accomplish.
Our next question is the third row on the left.
Newey Scruggs, NBC5, Dallas-Fort Worth. Sonny, 2 questions for you. One, can you speak to the health of your team having this time off, especially for Quentin Johnson and Johnny Hodges? And then second one, your defense, 3-3-5, going up against Michigan, and just that matchup there, please.
Yeah, I think this has been, we played 11 straight weeks, Newey. I think that was a challenge, for us. We had an open date after week 2, leading into the SMU game, and then played all the way through conference play without an open date. So it certainly wasn't ideal scheduling. In the Big 12, we don't have the good fortune to play an out-of-conference game like the SEC does in Week 10 or Week 11. You're not going to catch the Citadel in Week 10. We caught Texas. And so, I think that's just kind of the way our league is designed. And so, you've got to be on your best week in, week out, and it takes a toll on your team. I mean, it really does. It's difficult to get through that gauntlet of 9 consecutive conference games against quality opponents. And we were beat up. I mean, look, we went into the Baylor game coming off that Texas win. We go play Baylor in Waco, and we'd had 15 plus guys that had the flu, that were sick that week, and we knew going in that was going to be a tester for us. That was going to be a very difficult ball game to win, especially given the history of TCU Baylor. We knew they were going to catch an excited team, and we did, and we were fortunate to win the game. And you have to win those kind of games to be in the position that we're in right now. So it's we've had a chance to heal up. Specifically, Quentin had probably played most of the season, half the season banged up. He's had a chance to get healthy. I think it's the first time he's been 100% probably since midseason. So we're excited about that, to see what that looks like. I think he'll play well Saturday. I think he's excited, looking forward to the challenge. Johnny had a little bit of a hamstring injury, and I think he's starting to come around as well. So I anticipate both those guys playing, being close to full speed for sure. The second part of the question was defense. Yeah, defense to 3-3-5. Yeah, look, I think, it's interesting. If you take a look at the evolution of the 3-3-5, it's, really started out as a defense designed to stop spread teams, okay? Well, Michigan's not really a spread team, okay? And so we're going to see a little bit different look from these guys. I think when you look at the 3-3-5, the idea was to get more speed on the field, get more defensive backs on the field. Really started out as a third down defense, third and long. People started to run it, and all of a sudden it kind of started to be the in vogue thing we started to see on third and long. Well, then some teams started to run it every down, and I can remember as a play caller looking at that going, okay, this is going to be a lot of fun playing against this defense. We're going to get in 12 personnel, we're going to run the ball. And it all of a sudden was a little bit more difficult maybe than I thought it was going to be, because what happens is you've got layers to that defense, and there's a lot of guys in the second and third level. Okay, there's 8 players. There's a lot of different guys that can get involved in run fits. And so what happens now is that you don't really know where they're coming from. In a traditional defense where you know where everybody is, you have these linemen, they stay on tracks. Somebody shows up, they block them, and they have a pretty good idea of who they're going to block based on your alignment. Well, I think in the 3-3-5, you've got a little bit more flexibility in where guys are going to come from and who's going to show up and where are they coming from. And I think it gives the defense some advantages because it catches the offense a little bit off guard, makes those guys a little bit uncomfortable. And so, as I said earlier, I'm really confident in Joe Gillespie, our defensive coordinator. I think he's one of the brightest coaches in college football. I think he's done a tremendous job of taking this defense, molding it into an every down defense, and then also being able to stop the run. I think you go back and you look at our game against Texas. Bijan Robinson's one of the premier running backs in the country, and I believe they ran the ball 22 times for 29 yards in that game. And so, we've played against teams that are good running the ball. Michigan will be a different challenge. I do believe we're probably facing the best offensive line in college football. I think that group is really, really good. They've got a good collection of individual players, but I think they play very well together as a group. So it'll be a big challenge for us. But again, I think that, I think we'll have some tricks up our sleeves.
We have a question here in front row, right?
Stephen Johnson, Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Sonny, how do you think the Big 12, I think there might be a misconception about, people still thinking it's a lot of air raids, a lot of people throwing the ball over the field. But how do you think the Big 12 has prepared you guys for the physicality Michigan is going to present for you?
Yeah, I do think that there is still a little bit of perception, of the Big 12 the way it was a decade ago. When I was at Texas Tech, we entered the league, or when I went to Texas Tech in 2000, the league was an I-formation 21 personnel league in 2000. By about 2004, it was a 10 personnel air raid league. Everybody in the league was running some kind of a variation of the air raid, throwing the ball around. Wasn't a lot of great defenses in the league at that time. And I think, like everything else, the league in some ways has completely evolved. You go and look at it now, and you've got a completely different style of play across the board. And I do believe that there still is that perception that nobody in the league plays defense, and I don't think that's the case at all. And, you start to look around the Big 12, and there's a lot of run-based offenses, and a lot of offenses that are really good up front, and a lot of offenses that are built on 12 and 21 personnel. And so you have to be able to defend everything in the league. I think that's one of the great things about the Big 12 is there is a lot of variety in schemes, whether it's offensively or defensively. A lot of teams are running some cutting-edge things. And the pendulum has swung back kind of from the 4 wide all the time back to, playing with tight ends and fullbacks and that kind of thing. And I think the league, in a lot of ways, is kind of ahead of the curve.
We have a question here on the left, second row.
Sonny, what will Max Duggan's legacy be in the tradition of this, in the trajectory of this program when he's done here?
Yeah, I think when you look at Max, it's always hard to predict what someone's legacy is going to be, but I think that you do look at Max. I think it's going to be similar to Andy Dalton in a lot of ways. I think you look at Andy and his time at TCU, he kind of put TCU on the map, took him to a Rose Bowl, became kind of one of the guys that you think about when you think about TCU football. And I think certainly Max is going to be on that Mount Rushmore of TCU guys. He certainly deserves to be. Here we are in the college football playoff. I think nobody anticipated any of us being here. I don't think anybody really was betting on Max Duggan to be a runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. So I think there's been a lot of, things that have occurred this year that were beyond people's expectations, and I think that's what Max is good at. I think he's really good at exceeding expectations. And when you go back and you look at what he's been through as a football player here, from a coaching change to a heart surgery to ups and downs, all the things he's been through. I think people will look back at him, and as I said earlier, he'll be on the Mount Rushmore of TCU football, and he certainly deserves to be.